show you how to crochet a classic granny square like the one that you see here. There are a lot of different ways that you can make a classic granny square. You can even work them so that they are reversible, and for those types you would actually be turning your granny square over as you complete each part of it. But for this one here that I'm going to show you, we're just going to be working in the round. We're going to start by making our chain, and then we're going to join it with a slip knot, and we'll be working outwards so that with each round our square gets bigger and bigger. And I have here the pieces of my granny square so that you can see how it starts and then what you end up with. So you can see here that my granny square is worked in groups or shells of double crochet. And so I'm starting out with just this small one. There are 4 groups of 3 double crochets. And then once that round is complete, you do another round. So here are your 4 corners on the second round, but you also have these side spaces. And then finally this is my finished granny square. So like always, we're going to start with our slip knot. And I'm going to chain 4. And now I'm going to make a slip stitch into my first chain so that I can join. Now I'm going to chain 3. And this is going to count as my first double crochet. We're going to be working in groups of double crochets. So this is going to count as my first one. And now I'm going to make 2 more double crochets right into the center of my ring here. And once I've done that, I'm going to chain 3. And then I'm going to make 3 double crochets right into the center of my ring. I'm going to hold my tail against my work while I'm doing my double crochets, because doing that will lock the tail in place as I work my double crochets, and then I can just snip off any excess when I'm done with my granny square, and I won't have to worry about weaving in this tail. So 3 double crochets into the center of the ring. And again, chain 3, work 3 double crochets into the center of the ring, so you can see we already have our square forming here. Going to chain 3, work 3 double crochets into the center of the ring, Okay, so I have my 3 corners here. I need to make one more so that my first round looks like this. So to finish this up, I'm going to chain 3, and then I'm just going to make a slip stitch into the top of that very first chain 3 that you did at the beginning of the round. Since I'm changing colors, I'm just going to snip my yarn here and pull my tail through. Let me just pull him through here really quick. Then I'll weave in my tails later when I'm done with my granny square. So that is our first round. Okay, now to do my second round in this brown color that I'm using, I'm just going to again make a slip knot. And then take your first round and pick any corner. I'm going to hold my yarn in the back and then take my crochet hook with the slip knot and go right into that space. This is your chain 3 space. And pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both of those loops. That's going to count as our first chain. We're going to chain 2 more. So we have 3 chains. That's going to count as our first double crochet, just like it did in the first round. We're going to work 2 more double crochets into this space. Now I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to work a group of double crochets into my next chain 3 space. Now if you take a look here, we only have 3 double crochets in this space, but in our finished sample here there are 2 groups of 3 double crochets in each corner. This is just the first part of our corner. As we work our way around, when we get to the end of the round, we'll work 3 more double crochets to finish up this first corner. So for our second chain space here, we're going to work our 3 double crochets, now we're going to chain 3, and we're going to work 3 more double crochets into the same space. And then that will complete our corner. I'm going to chain 2 and repeat that process into my next space. 3 double crochets, chain 3, and 3 more double crochets into that same space. and there's our next corner completed. Again, chain 2, and then work your groups of double crochets into the next space. Chain 3, work 3 double crochets, now we have 3 of our 4 corners completed. We need to finish up this one that we started at the beginning of our round. Chain 2, then work 3 double crochets into this space. Now before we join, we're going to chain 3, and then to join I'm just going to work a slip stitch into the top of that chain 3 that we did at the beginning of our round. And then again I'm going to change colors, so I'm just going to cut my yarn here and pull my tail through. And then I am ready to do the last round for my granny square. I'm going to grab my pink yarn here again. I'm going to make my slip knot. And then pick a corner. And your working yarn is held in the back of your granny square with your crochet hook and slip knot. You're going to go into the chain 3 space, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through both of those loops on your hook. That counts as your first chain. Chain 2 more. And again, just like the other rounds, this is going to count as our first double crochet. Work 2 more double crochets into the chain 3 space. Now in this round, in between our corners, we have this side space, so we need to fill that in too. I'm going to chain 2 and then work 3 double crochets into this side space. Or you could call that your chain 2 space, because that's where you worked 2 chains on the previous round. Now we're ready to work our next corner. So you're going to chain 2 and work the 3 double crochets, 3 chains, 3 double crochets into the space. There's my first set of double crochets completed. I'm going to chain 3 and work my second set of double crochets. chain 2, work 3 double crochets into your next space, chain 2. We're going to work our corner again as before. Chain 2, make the 3 double crochets into the next space, chain 2, and work your corner. Chain 2, and work your 3 double crochets into the side space. So I am now ready to finish up my last corner here. I'm going to work my 3 double crochets, and I'm going to make my chain 3, and instead of going into the top of this stitch here with a slip stitch to join like I did on the previous rounds, I'm going to cut my yarn here and I'm going to pull my tail through, if I can find it here. I'm going to take a yarn needle and put my yarn on the needle. And then I'm going to take my needle and go right under the top of my chain 3, pull my yarn through, and then go right back through the last chain that I made. And there you go. There's a nice tidy join that you really can't see. And just weave in your tails. And there is your classic granny square in 2 colors.